Hello and welcome to the colour reading for January people to examine how their June 2026 will progress. This is Karen's Colours and I'm Dr. Karen. The colours that we looked at for May 2026 showed that there were a number of difficulties that we had to negotiate throughout that month. And if your month went smoothly, then wonderful for you. On the other hand, if it was a bit rough, let's see what June will bring for you, shall we? For myself, it started off smoothly enough and then gradually progressed further and further into a period in which I really started to reevaluate these readings. Are they, in fact, even valuable to people? I don't get much feedback, but if you're planning on making such feedback, please feel free. I'd like to hear from you. If you're new here, of course, you'd probably be a little confused. My colour readings are not all love and light and wishful thinking. I read the colours as they turn out. And if that's something that doesn't appeal to you, then perhaps a tarot reader might be more your style. So I guess we need to get started. Let's now look for some colours for people born in the month of January to examine their June coming up. And firstly, we need a combination that signals their strength. And we have brown over pink. What is the obstacle they will be facing? It's pink over orange. And the underlying support energy is cyan on pink. Brown over pink. Firstly, I need to say that with this much pink, there is every chance that people born in January have some sort of health issue. Now, the pink appears twice internally and once externally. And that tends to suggest that there is more of an issue with an internal perception of health problems than there is in reality. That while health may still be an issue in the real world, it's not as severe as the issue in the internal world. Now, brown on pink is your strength. When pink occurs internally, it is a need or drive towards some form of love and caring and compassion and just generally needing to be looked after. In the real world, brown suggests that there are goals, ambitions, there are practical skills, there are things that you want to achieve, to accomplish, and there are certain levels of education that require to be undertaken in order to achieve those particular goals. When pink occurs in the real world, as it does here in your obstacle, it means that there is a lack of energy, that regardless of whatever it is that is driving you, and in this case it happens to be orange, you don't have the energy to succeed. So therefore, other people are able to impose their will upon you. That is a generalized lack of energy that comes as a result of this being your obstacle. As an obstacle driver, the orange internally says there is a lack of courage and confidence. You don't feel able to look after yourself, and hence you are permitting others to do the looking after. Whether or not that is what you want is totally irrelevant. The pink in the real world suggests that somebody else is doing the caring for you because you don't have the drive to be able to do it yourself, or even, and this is the important part of this, to say no. Now, The supporting color here is an interesting one, or combination is an interesting one, because once again, we have that pink internally. As a support, it says that you have got this drive to look for some form of way out of whatever lack of energy that you have. You need attention, you need comfort, you need love and support. And in the real world, there are many situations, people, circumstances, and other offerings available to you that will give you the comfort and the peace and the quiet and the harmony that is required. This is perhaps the loveliest combination in the entire system of colors, because it gives you love and comfort in the same combination. As your underlying energy, however, it doesn't always play out that way. So let's have a look at what we've got here. Let's move these. No. Firstly, we'll look at the colors that are missing. And there are a lot of them. For a start, there's no black, there's no white, there's no red, there's no yellow or green or blue. You do have brown, you do have orange, you don't have grey or purple, but you do have pink as your major color, and you have cyan. That doesn't give you a lot of skills to work with throughout the month of June. These skills, on the other hand, represent those that you've probably used in the past. You certainly would be familiar with them. And of all of these are the ones that are likely to support you, along with what is going to be happening here, that enables you to have a life throughout June that is not quite as uncomfortable as all of this pink tends to suggest. But we'll leave that aside for the moment, because I want to explore this in more detail. If we take the strength and the obstacle, we'll just put the underlying supporter over here for a moment. We start off with brown on pink. We also have pink on orange. And then finally, cyan on pink. I'm sorry about this, but I don't have 3 sets of the colors to work with. I didn't think I'd ever need them. But anyway, so what do we have here? In order to deal with the crossover between the strength and the weakness, what we have to do is take their supporting drivers and switch them across. Now what we have here, instead of the motivations, the drives, the activities of getting on with learning something new and practical and setting goals for yourself as a result of this need to get some care and love and attention, which comes from the pink here, we now find that one of the issues that we have is that this lack of confidence that comes from your obstacle comes through as you attempting to find anything and everything that could possibly assist you with whatever this journey is here. So your feeling of lack of attention now becomes your feeling of lack of courage, lack of confidence, a lack of ability to survive. Yet in the real world, you are still working on as many goals as you possibly can. You have a particular idea in mind as to where you want to go and how you want to get there, and you are working towards that. The other crossover is between the pink in the real world, which is other people impinging upon you, and your need for love and attention that comes from your strength. And we end up with pink on pink. Now, I'm going to switch that over to here, because this is pink on pink is not a comfortable situation to be in at all. The same color, top and bottom, suggests that here is a total lack of energy. You don't know what to do next. You have no idea because you have no experience of this. Pink on pink is all about vulnerability. It's as though you've almost given up on being able to be your own person. You've handed over your care to others. You have become a through and through baby in terms of your psychological and spiritual growth. You're probably even feeling very baby-like. Now, this has some problems associated with it because, as we know, babies tend to do a lot of crying, a lot of yelling, a lot of moving themselves around in uncoordinated ways in order to obtain the attention and the care that they need. And so, because this is a combination of your strength and your obstacle, this combination tends to suggest that you are feeling very much like that vulnerable child that is unable to look after itself. Now, if we take the underlying energy, the support energy, and we pop it in the middle there, we need pink back here, and we need cyan and pink there. Let me go back to this one over here. We'll leave this for a moment. All right, once again, in order to deal with how these two interact, we swap over the energies that are the drivers. And what do we get? Exactly the same thing. That tends to suggest that you have a double dose of whatever is going on here. You are feeling vulnerable internally. Externally, you're doing everything you can to try and find a way out of that vulnerability. And at the same time, nothing much is changing, nothing much is moving. Your life is pretty well much on hold at the moment until such time as you are able to find what you need, what that brown represents, in order to move yourself forward in whatever direction you have decided to go. This is the wrong way around. On the other hand, if we take the supporting energy and the obstacle and again swap those over, what we end up with here is a situation where your lack of confidence is coming through as stalemate and inability to do anything about it. It's as though life is comfortable, but you don't recognize it as comfort. Life is serene, but you don't recognize it as serenity. You are agitated inside and nothing much is moving in the external world. And in terms of the crossover between these two peaks, we are back to where we were before, this baby energy. So the baby energy exists both as a result of the interaction between the strength and the obstacle, but also between the obstacle and the underlying supporting energy. You are in a very, very fragile state at present. And this is something that throughout the month of June is something you're going to have to be really careful about negotiating. Let's examine what it is that you might be able to do. For a start, time out. Just allow things to settle. Don't do anything for a while. Allow time to move. Or you could do its opposite. You could decide that instead you're going to learn as much as you can about everything you possibly can. Just be open to all experiences, to all opportunities, and to all points of view. You could just simply decide to ignore it and activate yourself and keep busy. Or you could rely upon information that you already have, that you have studied in the past, that you have learnt, and bring those memories back into the real world now to allow yourself to move on. Or you could just simply decide that it's time to do something completely different. Head off in a totally new direction, one that you've never tried before. Or you could just settle down to your routines and to maintain the status quo, making sure that your life is as ordered and organized as it possibly can be. On the other hand, you could also choose to ride a middle path between the various different push-pull situations in both your learning and also in your experiences. And finally, you could try some self-healing. Purple is about imagination. What is it about your feeling of dis-ease that is causing you such distress? A little bit of spending time thinking about how things could be better, how life could be improved through your imagination will help as well. The idea, of course, is choose the one color that is most appealing here and the one color that is least appealing, regardless of what they represent at this stage. And having chosen those two colors, incorporate them into this repertoire so that when you are facing this challenge of lack of energy due to some sort of diseased process, you'll be able to deal with it more effectively. Well, I guess that the color reading for this month is one that you can either take as a positive if things are going well for you, but for some of you, it's going to be something that is a bit of a struggle. That struggle continues on from what's been happening during the rest of this year. Let's hope that you can make something positive out of whatever your reading is, and specifically out of the colors that you have chosen to use as your treatment or therapy colors. Having a look at what is available to me this month, looks like it's going to be a repetition of what I had in May, and that wasn't easy to deal with. Still, I'm here, and hopefully I'll be back in July for another set of readings. In the meantime, may the colours of your life bring you all the joy and happiness that you deserve. And I'll catch you next time. Bye.